Sports Lounge 150, first one of 2016. Travis Crin's here, Drew Amon there, Marcus Traxler there, Charlie Hildebrand there. Gentlemen, show 150, first show of the new year. Welcomed one and all.
Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Terrific.
McCaffrey for Heisman. Henry sucks. My impression of that one guy after the game.
Heisman! Heisman!
Ever find out who that was?
Jacob.
It was Jacob.
I'm thinking it was. Kind of looks like him.
Yes.
Hello, men.
Hello, everybody. Yes.
Hello, man.
We've got some awful college football to talk about, so that's fun. And NFL Week 17. Denver trying to blow their shit their pants in their bed, as we like to say, shit the bed, all over the place against an awful San Diego team. We'll start with Mr. Viking Larry Traxler here. Looks like if the Vikings win, they'll play Seattle next week. That's a lot of fun. And if they lose, they'll probably play Green Bay again. Which one would you rather have?
Green Bay again. I mean, they should try to win tonight, but
Not too hard.
it's not, playing Seattle is not a good situation. I think before today I would have unequivocally said win and play Seattle again. I feel like they didn't play, they played terribly against Seattle, maybe worse than they played against the Packers the first time around, but I would say at this stage Seattle is they're on a different level than the Vikings are. So I'm not sure. I think you want to play the Packers again. I think they can beat the Packers tonight, and if nothing else, that game will be in Minnesota next week when you play Seattle. So,
Charlie Hildebrand, your favorites in each conference.
I mean, I hate to say Seattle, especially based off just what they've done today, but I'm going to do what everyone on the internet said and jump on the Seattle Seahawks bandwagon. And I don't really want to jump on the Cincinnati bandwagon, but Denver doesn't look great today, and Tom Brady might be hurt. I don't know. I guess I'm still going on the New England bandwagon. I would say that those are the two favorites.
Drew Amon, why is Seattle good again? Drew Amon.
sound.
Eamon! We don't have sound for Eamon. No fucking sound for Eamon.
Yell louder.
The whole thing, in and out, come back in, come back out.
Yeah.
Traxler, DDS. Seattle's good again. I think, I know why they're good. I think I got my own reasons.
You say those things. You say them.
I'll say those things. I think Russell Wilson's carrying the load now.
Talk about Seattle.
I'm going to talk about Seattle. 4,000 yards, first time anybody has ever done that for Seattle, which is asinine. And fourth year, he's taking a step now.
No respect for Rick Meyer.
Yeah, no, Rick Meyer can go to hell.
Or Jim Zorn.
Well, he's taking that step. Drew Amon, are you here?
Can you hear me?
Good.
Better.
Good. I think Russell Wilson's taking that next step. That's why Seattle's good now.
I feel like Russell Wilson maybe you can make a case for MVP, actually.
Good job. Good. Yes, you can.
Yep.
Seattle, your favorite in the conference?
No, I go Carolina, New England, or maybe my my Super Bowl pick right now.
AFC, Charlie, I don't know what the hell's going on. Denver's defense is really good, but their offense isn't really good. We'll see if Peyton Manning can help that along. New England, I don't know. I didn't see any of that game. I don't know what the hell happened with New England today. Cincinnati quarterback, they got issues. Pittsburgh's in. Everybody likes Pittsburgh. Kansas City, each wins all their games by about 4 points, and they haven't lost in 2.5 months. And Houston's there to get the hell beat out of them. So I would say this is as wide open as I remember the AFC.
It's pretty wide open. I think the only thing I'm going to toot my own horn about in preseason predictions was I did have the Texans in the playoffs. Everything else I got catastrophically wrong for the most part. If I have to pick someone, I mean, I don't know. I still think the Patriots would probably be the favorite because I don't know how much I really trust Denver, whether it's starting younger Brock Osweiler or older Peyton Manning. I mean, I guess if Pittsburgh gets hot, I could see Pittsburgh going deep into the playoffs. I agree that the Texans and the Chiefs probably won't go very far, and I'll believe the Bengals can go far when they win a playoff game first.
I had Dallas playing Indianapolis in the Super Bowl, so that's an indication of how my preseason picks went.
Wow, that didn't go very well.
That did not go well. No, New England is the only team in the AFC that I like to actually go to the Super Bowl. I like Kansas City, but Denver. I mean, I'm really intrigued by Denver here now because if they win this game and they're number one seed, they're going to have next week off. So you have to win 3 games to win the Super Bowl. And you start Peyton Manning. I mean, he didn't really do anything on this last drive that might have given him a lead. They're reviewing this. But, if they win the game, you play Peyton Manning and you just hope that he's the typical Peyton Manning for 3 games or, at least to get you to the AFC Championship. I just feel like at least with Brady, you know what you're getting, but the Patriots have other problems right now. So I don't know. I don't trust the Bengals because I don't know if Dalton's healthy, then that changes things. But I think it sounds like he's going to try to give it a chance. But and the Texans, I don't trust the Texans. So Steelers, are dangerous. Steelers are dangerous, but I don't think they're going to go to the Super Bowl.
I think you do start Peyton for sure.
I would say, given this current situation, yeah, I would start him. I mean, he's as fresh as he's going to be next week. They're probably going to have a team they can handle at home. So,
well, let's just assume Denver beats 4-win San Diego here. Denver's the 1, New England's the 2, Cincinnati's the 3. Cincinnati would play Pittsburgh. That's a new matchup. Those teams never play, so that's different. Kansas City plays Houston. That's got NBC written all over it. 3:30.
That's your 4:00 game on ESPN on Saturday.
Oh yeah, ESPN. They took it away from NBC. Pissed me off. And whoever Washington plays, that's probably your Saturday night game. So that's that. I like Kansas City to beat Houston, and I would really like Kansas City to beat Denver too, if they were to meet. So.
Yeah, I mean, I like Kansas City. They're hot, but feels like I don't know. I don't like the Andy Reid, Alex Smith combo to actually make some progress in the playoffs. So, despite what they've done over the last 3 months, I'm skeptical.
There's been 2 straight playoff games. You've had the Super Bowl with Peyton Manning, then you had the Colts. Was it Colts last year? They lost second round, first game for them. So it's been two bad playoff games for Denver right in a row. So I would maybe ride Kansas City all the way to the conference title game against New England there. So did anybody like that the Jets lost? Would you rather have seen the Jets in there? Any takers on the Jets?
No, I like that they lost. It's always really fun when you just have to win and you make the playoffs, and then you lose that game that literally have to win. That always amuses me.
Good. Heading into last week. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Heading into last week, I really wanted the Steelers to be in the playoffs, but then the Steelers crapped the bed, as we like to say, against whoever they played, the Browns or
Baltimore.
Yeah, Baltimore. And so then I'm like, okay, let's see the Jets do this. Jets have a serviceable quarterback. They have Brandon Marshall, who's having a great year. Defense seems good, and then they just go to Buffalo and they're up 14-0. They lay a total turd in the second half, and I thought it was great. The end of that game was fantastic. I imagine that there were multiple Jets fans assaulted in the Ralph Wilson Stadium parking lot, and probably jet-on-jet crime, to be honest. And it sounded like it was great. So congrats to Pittsburgh.
And I was just going to add that the Buffalo Bills aren't bad, but if you're the Jets and all you need to do is beat the Bills to get in the playoffs, nothing is more Jets over the last 20 years than being like, we can do it. Nope, we can't. Never mind.
They had a stat on NFL Red Zone earlier that this was the first time ever that a coach who had been fired by the team, beat the team that fired him to keep him out of the playoffs or whatever. I'm like, yeah, no shit. That doesn't happen very often. So I wasn't that impressed by that stat.
Dumb.
You mean Marty Morningweg never did that?
He never screwed the Lions out of getting in. So.
Only while he was the head coach of the Lions.
Seattle's 5-3 on the road this year.
It's good. That's what you've been asking for over the last few years.
Duraman, your favorite Jim Tomsulo moment, San Francisco. What are they?
How about, other than week 1?
Sure. Kind of peaked a little early, I'd say.
I think, going forward with and seeing what they have with Blaine Gabbert is a real highlight for me. Good call.
Cute. Real fucking cute.
Here's a team that was in the Super Bowl and conference championships and, looked like the smart team that knows what they're doing. And then just like a span of 3 months, they go all the way down and are kind of a laughingstock, just like that. So, good job.
My favorite Jim Tomsula moment was week 1 when it was clear that he had the mechanic turned NFL head coach look down to a very clear science. And he seemed both fired up and confused that he was suddenly coaching one of the NFL's franchises.
Unless he ever cures cancer or stops a terrorist attack, my favorite will always be his list of his resume that first game, and you see all the jobs he had before. And I seen garbage collector or whatever, and thinking, I wouldn't have guessed that he had done that before becoming a head coach.
He sold my dad a furnace.
You gotta scrap your way to the top, guys.
It still works 20 years later. So absolutely. What's his next job? Where will he be? What will he do?
I've already forgotten what he did last year. He was like an offensive line coach, right? Or defensive line coach?
I was going to guess defensive line, but I don't really.
I guess some of the defense.
You can't imagine he'd be any sort of offensive mastermind with Blaine Gabbert in there. But
assistant quality control coach or something like that. They have 32 coaches, so he'll be one of those.
He has the Brad Childress quality control role pretty much locked down next couple of years.
Good.
Special teams coach for USD.
Defensive line coach.
I bet he's great trying to massage the psyche of kickers or punters after they screw up.
Defensive line coach for San Francisco, his only NFL job, last 7 years. He began his coaching career as the strength and conditioning coach at something called Catawba in 1989. I don't know what that is. He also served as an assistant coach for Charleston Southern under some defensive coordinator I've never heard of. So also spent time with the Berlin Thunder about 10 years ago in Europe. Also the Rain Fire. He was the head coach of the Rain Fire in 2006. He went back to Catawba as the D-line and strength conditioning coach for about 8 years. So he's world-renowned, and he's probably going to get fired here in a few hours. So that'll be good. Jim Tomsulo actually apparently won a World Bowl title, number 12. So one of the better.
Speaking of coaches getting fired, apparently Jimmy Haslam, our favorite NFL owner, has scheduled a meeting with Mike Pettin in about 13 minutes, 6 o'clock God's country time. And
how's that going to go?
What do you think they're going to talk about?
Just like how the rent is looking in Cleveland. Any good properties that are available.
He's gonna walk in. Pettin's gonna walk in. He's gonna sit down, and the owner's gonna be like, "You're fired." And then Pettin's gonna. This is what Pettin is not gonna say. He's not gonna say this. Wow, that's surprising.
I've seen though a couple people on Twitter have made the joke. Just don't show up, right? They can't fire you. So just drive right out of town and go wherever home is for Mike Pettin. lay low for the next week or so. Just they can't fire
Turn
you.
off your phone.
Yep.
Don't answer emails. Show up in May. We'll be like, all right, it's draft time. Let's do this, guys.
Mini camp. Let's go. Mini camp.
Okay, we got
All
San
right,
Francisco.
we got to draft Cardale in the first round. Come on, let's get that Cardale Jones kid from Ohio State.
We got San Francisco's probably going to need a new coach. Cleveland's going to need a new coach. Philadelphia does. Indianapolis does.
Miami.
Miami, who's the Carpenter guy?
Got Dan Campbell.
Dan Campbell, him too. So you got about 5 jobs out there right now. Tom Coughlin may retire. He's 70. So Lovie Smith, he'll probably get a contract extension, so that'll be good for him because he wins
Good.
6 games.
Yep.
Any of those jobs, I think Chip Kelly's going to go to Indianapolis, but I'd say Indianapolis is obviously the best of those jobs. Pagano's out, Charlie. Was that okay? Fire him. It sounds like him and the GM, their asshole GM who nobody likes. Apparently they didn't get along, and your quarterback gets hurt, and you go 8-8, and you fire the guy. Good.
It's different than how things used to be like 15 years ago. Everybody's got a much shorter leash than ever before, I think. I mean, it's not all that surprising. It looks like he was basically trying to find any reason to get rid of him, and I suppose going 8-8 is as good as anything, I suppose.
Josh Freeman, how many played? Holy hell, he played a game. Who knew?
There we go. We threw a touchdown pass. And
So-
a pick 6.
So this was Chuck Pagano's 3rd year, right?
At least. I think
Let me double check that.
4th year. 4th year.
Okay,
It's-
first year was
I think-
2012.
2012 was his cancer year. Yes.
Yeah, so he had cancer in 2012. Bruce Arians comes in. They do pretty good. And like the next year, like the middle of next year, it's already out that hey, the GM, owner, Pagano, they don't get together. So really, the fact that he made it through 2015 is pretty impressive because it sounded like he was going to get fired a while ago. This has been stewing for a while. I still don't understand how when you have Andrew Luck and you have some pretty decent talent, and they basically went in all in this year. I mean, I'm not just referring to getting Andre Johnson and Frank Gore or whoever, but they had made some pretty significant moves in free agency to make sure that they could win this year. But if you have a quarterback and he gets hurt and he's a franchise guy, that can hurt you pretty bad, especially when you don't have a competent backup. And I guess it was a good excuse for Ryan Grigson and Jim Irsay to get rid of him.
Guys, the fake punt.
The fake punt was a bad call.
That was bad.
I'm sure his fate has been sealed since then.
Probably.
Which is going to be funnier, the fake punt or if Chip Kelly becomes the Colts head coach and just like he did in Philadelphia, instantly is like, well, we got rid of Andrew Luck. We got draft picks for him. We're
really want
up from the ground. We're starting over.
He signs Colin Kaepernick, brings him in to replace Andrew Luck or some other shitty quarterback. RG3, you're in.
I like
Jeremiah Masoli is the 3rd string quarterback.
an all Hawaiian quarterback, Timmy Chang, practice squad.
Will Brennan, you're in.
What I find interesting is apparently what?
Are you saying my mom?
No.
Oh,
Apparently, Tennessee says.
The meatball.
Apparently, Tennessee says Chip Kelly doesn't fit their whatever the hell they got. They don't have anything. He doesn't fit what they want to do. Apparently, which is there a more nameless, faceless franchise in the last 10 years in Tennessee?
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
was just going to say,
who-
does anybody know what Tennessee wants to do? I mean, I don't...
Weren't they like 14-2 as recently as like 2009 or something?
Like who's their guy? Like who would you say? Oh yeah, this is from the last 10 years ago. Who would you say? Yeah, this is Mr. Tennessee Titan.
Delaney Walker.
Delaney Walker. Yeah, Delaney fucking Walker.
He's been picked up and dropped 17 times in our fantasy league. That's the only reason I know that.
Charlie Hildebrand. Should the Eagles have fired Chip Kelly? 10-6, 10-6, 6-9.
I mean, coach-wise, I would say not as the coach. If you want to fire him because he's both the coach and the GM. I completely get it from a general manager standpoint. And if you're saying we're not going to do one and it's all chip or all nothing and we fire them and we're not going to start taking away responsibilities, like I get it from that standpoint. But just from a record-wise, sort of like with Pagano and Indianapolis, it's a little surprising that it's like, oh, done already. But obviously the curious moves he made to make Philadelphia significantly less talented probably was the biggest reason he got fired.
I would say that Chip Kelly, the coach, was probably fine. I mean, 10-6, and then a 6-win season, like you mentioned. You probably can live with that, but the personnel decisions that he made, like Charlie said, you gave away a shitload of talent, and you didn't get a lot of it back. It seemed like. I mean, you traded LaShawn McCoy for a very average linebacker, just straight up. That was the trade. That's a very dumb trade, especially when you sign DeMarco Murray. So, I would say from a personnel standpoint, he made his bed. As a coach, I don't think he was that bad. And when you make the moves he made, you've got to be ready to answer for him. And I'm not. Maybe he was willing to do that, but they ended up being some bad calls.
I'd take him in Tampa. I don't think any of these job openings. They'd be glad to have him.
I mean, the one thing I would say about the Eagles is that, as I pointed out to this little group yesterday, one of the leading candidates appears to be former Eagles running back and current running backs coach Deuce Staley, and then apparently the Chiefs offensive coordinator, whose name is escaping me, Peterson or something. I want to say Al Saunders, but that's not right. He's
known for their fantastic offense this season too.
I know it's like, well, that was.
Now, to be fair, there's guys who aren't great coordinators that do end up making better head coaches. So I suppose that could happen. But yeah, based off, I mean, I don't know. I've only seen the Chiefs play like 3 times this year. Even though they're close, the Chiefs are almost like the equivalent of the Tennessee Titans to me.
We've all seen enough Kansas City football here, Marcus. You've seen enough Kansas City football. You know what they are. You know. I mean, Andy Reid's calling the plays, is he not? So what the hell is this guy doing? This is Brad Childress Jr. here. What the hell is the point of this? Good Lord.
We've already talked about Brad Childress twice here, so I need to find out what exactly he's doing.
I'm sure he's still with Kansas City keeping that seat warm. Oh.
Whenever the Chiefs are on red zone, the thing that always goes through my mind is it's like, oh yeah, I guess Alex Smith still starts in the NFL. Huh.
Chili is still the Kansas City Chiefs spread game analyst.
Do they do much spread game?
No, they have Alex Smith. So what the hell? They don't have any running backs either. I don't know how the Chiefs are good. I don't get it.
Their defense is very good. They don't turn the ball over. Jamal Charles has been out this whole time.
That's what I mean. With only Jeremy Maclin and Travis Kelce as your only weapons, I don't get it. But good for them. They did it.
Jamal Charles out, and it hasn't mattered at all. They've been better without him. And they're going to win 10 in a row, probably 11 in a row if they can beat Houston on Saturday. So good for Kansas City because I've never seen them win a playoff game. So that would be something different. Chip Kelly. Nick Foles was very, very good for Philadelphia, and he was awful for the Rams. And Sam Bradford was never any good, and he surprisingly wasn't any good this year. So
the success that Chip Kelly had with quarterbacks was really weird. Like Nick Foles was successful. Mark Sanchez had his moments where he was good for them. Did they have Michael Vick when he was there? No.
I thought Michael Vick was still there that first year, but got hurt and only played a little tiny bit.
Probably.
But I might be getting years mixed up.
I mean, record-wise, Sam Bradford 6-7 as of last week, so that's a lot better than he did in St. Louis. But he just isn't very good, and they need a quarterback, and they don't have any. So
let us never forget that a day or two before the season started, there was big-time buzz on the NFL shows on ESPN that maybe Sam Bradford would be the MVP this year. So let's not forget that. Let's rub that in their faces forever.
Hashtag never forget.
Never forget. That's right.
I gave Chip Kelly the benefit of the doubt with these trades, saying, okay, he knows, but he didn't. They were bad trades. So anybody else? I think he ends up with the Colts. Anybody else thinks he goes to Indianapolis?
That makes sense. I hope he ends up in Cleveland. That would be hilarious. Sorry, I'm only about hilariousness in the NFL.
Let's get Chip.
I like that.
Cleveland and Christian Hackenberg in Cleveland. Let's go.
Oh my God.
Holy cow.
I think we should have Chip in. I mean, I think Cleveland would be funnier. I think Chip Kelly in San Francisco could also be funny, though, too.
Yeah.
Looking at our preseason predictions, nobody had the Panthers in the playoffs, so that did not go well.
How could anyone
almost went undefeated?
Huh?
The Panthers almost went undefeated.
They lost one time. That's all they lost. Drew's the only one with the Super Bowl matchup still left. Green Bay, New England. Me, David, and Drew all have Green Bay, Seattle. Still possible for a NFC title game. Besides that, nobody else has a goddamn thing out there. So playoffs, nothing going on. Charlie does get credit for that Houston wildcard pick. Only one to do that, so that was good. And
I think I had Green Bay in the Super Bowl, so I could get one Super Bowl team right. Like Traxler, I also had the Colts as my AFC team in the Super Bowl.
Everybody had the Colts except Amon. He had New England.
Fuck yeah.
I had Dallas and Philadelphia in the NFC Championship game, so that was just really good job by me.
Game here, couple half dozen games there. So
Yeah.
I could be wrong. I might have had Indianapolis and Miami in the AFC title game, so I would say that's as bad as your NFC title game.
that is factual. Everybody else had New England Colts. David, he was hard on the Ravens. Hard on the
Good job,
Ravens.
Ravens. Way to go. Way to go.
Well, it sucks that the Ravens aren't in the playoffs this year. I always love watching them play.
Charlie had Houston. Everybody but me had fucking Miami as a wild card. I'll never understand that at all. Stacken had the Bengals were in that division. That happened. I had the Bengals as a wild card. Nobody else had the Bengals in the damn thing.
Screw them.
Fuck 'em. Drew, Marcus, and Stacken all had Kansas City. Marcus, you had them winning the division.
Come on, let's go, Chargers. Come on, you can do this.
I had the Chargers winning the AFC West, I think, if I remember right.
You and David. We all picked the Falcons to win the South. Amon went with the Saints. Why?
I don't know.
Okay. Alrighty.
They got Drew Brees. That's why. But Sean Payton's not a good coach anymore. So that's like a thing now.
They're magical together.
Marcus and I did not pick Arizona to make the playoffs. Drew and Charlie didn't. They didn't pick the Vikings to make it.
You picked the Vikings?
I did. Everybody except you and Charlie.
You would.
All the Viking fans picked them, yes. And the two non. We knew.
No,
My recollection is I had the Vikings as the Miami Dolphins 8-8 special, and that they would just kind of be there. And it turned out they were a little bit better than that. So congratulations to the Vikings.
They were there. I find interesting what Brandon Marshall had 1,400 yards and 100-some catches and all these touchdowns. It was like a 13th round pick. They traded for him. Ridiculous. And Sean Payton, he may be traded for a third, fourth round pick in the offseason. The Brandon Marshall trade is goddamn ridiculous. Dumb as hell.
Yeah.
Dumb
as shit. Charlie, where does my man Manziel go? Because he sure as fuck isn't going to be in Cleveland.
Just to go with Traxler's hilarious thing, because this would be funny, and I suppose it's possible if cards break perfectly, he could play well there, but it could also be a very short trip that ends catastrophically bad. I hope he ends up in Dallas.
Dallas.
Yeah,
Although it would also be interesting to see him go wherever Chip Kelly goes and have Chip Kelly say, "We're going to ride with this Manziel kid." That could also be hilarious.
San Francisco do something.
You know what would be better is if Chip Kelly and Manziel end up in the same place, and then Chip Kelly has a chance to bring in Mariota, and he kicks out Manziel just like he did at Oregon, because Manziel was in Oregon, and then he brought in Mariota and Manziel left. So let's see that happen again.
Manziel should go back to college.
A&M needs a quarterback.
You know, based off when Vernon Adams got hurt, it looks like they're going to need a quarterback for the next few years. So
San Diego's up by 3. Could Denver fucking pick it up here? Jesus Christ.
Other good locations for Manziel would be Miami, New Orleans, the new team in L.A.,
Las Vegas.
the fictional team in Las Vegas. So, Mexico City.
You could probably, if Mariota can go back to college, I don't know why Manziel can't be the starting quarterback for the Runnin' Rebels.
UNLV, let's go.
Charlie, you're familiar with the Heisman House commercials, correct?
I am. Some of them are kind of funny. Some of them are weird.
What about doing like a, NFL draft pick bust house? Ryan Leaf, guys, like that, having all...
Well, there was that one that was, I don't remember what it was advertising, but it was like, it might have even just been like Fox Sports having games on that channel. But it was like some diner and like Matt Leinert's there and like Brian Bosworth shows up and is like, I wish I could go back to college or something like that.
And like Heath Schuler, where they have to point out, this is who this man is, because nobody would recognize who this man is. Like Brian Bosworth, I don't think they said his name because you kind of know what he looks like. Is that Heath Schuler? I mean, come on.
I think it's a great idea. You have to find a way to pay both Jamarcus Russell and Ryan Leaf enough money to have them argue over who is the worst/best at something, and we as the audience know who's the worst bust ever, but they don't know that they're actually arguing about something else, and it's a metaphor, and I should get paid for that commercial right now.
I know you're a big fan of the Larry Culpepper Dr. Pepper commercials.
I fucking hate that guy.
Sign my petition.
We'll bring him back for the 3rd year.
What's that?
What's
Will
that?
Will he be back for a 3rd year next year?
Probably. They've put a lot.
I hope not, which means of course he will.
On the Heisman House commercials, I would say that my favorite one is where Joe Theismann's on the tour bus and they're all yelling at him.
I would argue that like the Heisman ceremony, the show, is like one of the shows on TV, one of the worst shows on TV.
One of the worst.
It's absolutely awful. Have you ever watched it?
It used to be just an hour, and I think this year, it was almost 2 hours, or it was 2 hours?
Well, they had so many candidates, you didn't know who was going to win.
Yeah, they had to.
I don't even think it should be on TV. It's that bad. It's so awkward.
They should have it be like around like signing day for basketball and football, where they'll just pop into some kid's school and he'll pick the hat and it'll take like 5 minutes and they ask the kid, well, why'd you pick USC? He's like, oh, the girls are hot. They should do that with the Heisman. Just like drop into the athletic club in New York. Oh, hey, we're on Sports Center. Let's check out who wins the Heisman. Oh, it's Derrick Henry. All right, well, congrats. We're going back to Rangers Bruins highlights.
There should be hot girls at it. Right.
What about moms?
Hot girls.
What about moms?
A few moms, too.
Okay. Are you in a casket right now?
But buried alive.
You look like you're laying down in your own coffin.
Just enough battery to do one last sports lounge, and he's going to spend it doing this before he dies. And we appreciate that.
It's pretty comfortable in here.
They seem to be comfortable.
Or you're in like a padded room. You
Oh,
know,
I'm in a casket.
Okay.
Drew, what do you do with Bob Griffin? Where's he go?
Bob damn Griffin. Well, I mean, we already talked about him going where Chip goes. That seems sensible.
No, Manziel. That was Manziel.
Same.
Same
I
guy.
said it.
Oh, you did?
Why would you?
Bringing them both and have them compete for the starting job.
Open competition? Open competition?
Like, honestly, why would you even, like, really consider him, like, for a starting quarterback job? He was good for 1 year. He's hurt all the damn time. He's annoying.
He is annoying.
It's just like, why?
Think about
If Kirk Cousins can be like a productive quarterback in the NFL, then we don't need a Olympian track superstar guy. You don't need somebody like what Bob Griffin is.
I think a fair amount of people. I've been turned off Subway for a long time. Hated it for a long time, but
I have to.
I hated Bob Griffin because of the Subway. Too much Subway. Stop hawking the Subway. And if that wasn't enough to get you off the bandwagon, I mean, Jared Fogle, man.
Here we go, guys. Pause. It happened. The meeting happened. Mike Pettin is fired.
Wow.
Oh, that was quick.
Short
10
meeting.
minutes? That long?
I
That
knew I
last
shouldn't
long?
have bet $100 on those 6,000 to 1 odds that he'd get an extension, but that's what I get for gambling.
Fill up your banker's box. You got 10 minutes. Security will lead you out.
The over-under was 7.5 minutes. So see what happened there. Kirk Cousins done well. Would it be wise to franchise this guy for a year and see if he's any good, or would you give him all the money in the world?
Franchise.
Franchise.
This is like the most obvious situation. What is the franchise tag? Is like you paid the 10th best at that position, or at league
Like
average, or what is it?
Average of the top 5 or something.
Okay. Well, that's going to be a lot of money, but I'd rather have the 1 year gamble than paying him 5 years.
I don't know about that. I would just sign him up. Who gives a shit? The contracts, there's going to be some clause in the contract where they can get out of it.
All
I know is whatever the right answer is, I'm sure that the Redskins will F it up and do something horribly wrong, because that's what they always do.
Let's give you the Albert Hainsworth deal.
So we know Cousins is not as good as what he has been. Like, obviously he doesn't complete 70% of his passes with like 100 quarterback rating for the rest of time.
Is he good enough to be a starter, to be, win you 9, 10 games? Is he a guy that can be a quarterback for the next couple of years for you?
Sure.
Yeah, why not?
I think, thinking back to all the way back when Tim Tebow was the starting quarterback for the Broncos, I'm going to say something that I'm pretty sure that Corinne said when we were sitting in the collegiate office doing a show, is Kirk Cousins going to win you a Super Bowl? Probably not. But most quarterbacks aren't going to win you a Super Bowl, and it's not an awful idea to try to stick around with Cousins until you can find someone who's truly better, because there's definitely a lot of quarterbacks out there that are worse than Cousins is.
Going back about 4 years when they drafted both of them, which people didn't like, I liked it for the fact that if Bob Griffin was good, which it looked like he was going to be before he got hurt, if he's good, well, then you're fine. But if he's not good, you'll see what Kirk Cousins can do, and he's been good enough to where he can be the starter. But if Bob Griffin was good enough, you can then trade Kirk Cousins. What was it, 4th-round pick they got him for? And people go nuts for these backup quarterbacks, so I'm sure you would have gotten at least more than a 4th-round pick for him. So either way, overall, you're going to get more value out of that. Because if they hadn't drafted him, who the hell knows who the quarterback for Washington would be? So
You like that?
you like that? You like that?
However good or not good he is, I will always like him more for that, and he was like so angry when he said it.
Like what game was that? What
Tampa Bay.
it was a big comeback?
Bucks were, I think, ahead by 24 points.
They were up 45-0, and they won.
Yep.
At first, I didn't like it, but now that it's just
Now you do
become
like that.
a ridiculous parody of itself, I like it.
Who the fuck was he talking to?
Just whoever.
Camera guy.
You
He
like
was just
that?
young.
You like that?
I think I figured it out on
He was
Bob
talking
Griffin.
to Lovey Smith, who was recording him. That's who it was.
Like that.
Or maybe it was Robert Griffin. Even I don't know.
You
I
like
think
that?
I figured it out on Bob Griffin. You guys ready?
Here we go.
Raiders backup. Raiders backup,
Mm.
and then
Wow.
the ghost of Al Davis, like 3 games in next year, when Carr's just doing his thing, either 1 and 2, pops Bob Griffin there, and they're terrible.
That's pretty goddamn good. I gotta say.
I was gonna say make him your backup quarterback, and Carr gets hurt next year for like 3 games, and is like that Billy Volek from like a decade ago, and is like just good enough where you're like, maybe he can be a starter, and then someone else spends a boatload of money for him, and then he's just awful, and it screws Cleveland because Cleveland always gets screwed over.
Do you have a favorite guy? Do you have a favorite guy that played like 2 games? Like, oh, this guy, he's the fucking guy. He's the guy. Like Billy Volek or, Matt Flynn seemed to have made respectable amount of millions. Never, 2 games in Green Bay, 3 games in Green Bay, goes to Seattle, gets 10, 15 million, doesn't even start for Seattle, goes back to Green Bay, plays a couple more times, does fine. Is there
Maybe
your
Bubby
You have a guy.
Brister? Maybe that's my favorite.
Bubby?
I would say Tommy Maddox, even though he got more than a couple games. Like, he was actually
That's also a
the
good
first
one.
starter.
About 15 years ago, rookie quarterback
Sean King?
Sean King won a playoff game, which was like really rare for a rookie to win a quarterback back then. And that was like, oh, Sean King, they won a playoff game. And he was actually
Didn't they almost beat the Rams in the NFC title game too? Like
Really close
13-8 or something.
It was 6-5
He had-
they lost.
It had
6-5.
very little to do with like any of that almost happening, but nonetheless, he still did it. Anyway, so for a little bit, it was like he could have been a thing, not a thing.
Apparently, Jimmy Butler scored 40 points in the second half today.
That's a new Bulls record. Better than MJ.
So that's... Well, he only scored 42 the entire game, so...
Yeah,
40.
apparently.
One other quarterback to toss in, and this one I only remember because it was in preseason, but when Spurrier took over for Washington and Danny Werfel lit up the preseason, and people were like, oh man, did Spurrier crack the code in the NFL, and are these quarterbacks not going to have to get paid? And then once the regular season started, it was like, oh, no. Turns out Danny Werfel's probably not an NFL starting quarterback.
Jesus Christ.
You know what I think is 2 things. One, when Matt Flynn threw 7 touchdowns against the Lions in that very last week, I was definitely in the camp, and there were a lot of people saying this, like, this is bullshit here, that what he did. But everybody was saying, oh yeah, he's going to totally make bank on this in the offseason. And he did. And
It was with Seattle. I mean, how goddamn lucky was Seattle to get Russell Wilson?
very lucky.
How goddamn lucky were they?
They could have ended up in just a quarterback wilderness for a few years, but they fall into Russell Wilson, and now they're not.
Everybody
in that.
passed on Russell twice, 3 times.
Did you know that Tom Brady was a 6th-round pick?
Oh,
Have you ever heard that?
The
Did you
199th pick.
Do you know that Mike Zimmer coached under Bill Parcells for numerous years with Dallas?
He was a coordinator, and he got passed over and over and over for NFL head coaching jobs.
Are you sure?
It's very.
I'm ready for this generation of head coaches to quit acting like Bill Parcells.
Good. I believe that.
I don't know if it was like during a Vikings game or if it was some other thing, but they were talking about all the like great platitudes that Bill Parcells said and like things that we remember, and the only one they could really bring up is "You are what your record is."
Well, the
That's
groceries.
bullshit.
And the
That's
groceries.
not even that good.
No, it's not.
So, I'm like, I don't think Bill Parcells really left us with that many great things to remember.
Yeah.
Did you guys know that before he was an NFL quarterback, that Kurt Warner was bagging groceries at a grocery store in Iowa somewhere?
No way that's true. No way that's true.
Urban legend.
No way.
Did you guys know that Ryan Fitzpatrick went to Harvard?
You say urban legend? You say urban legend?
Urban
Yep.
legend.
I say rural legend.
Rural.
Rural legend.
Rural.
Rural. Are we going to talk about Bowl Mania or no?
Yes.
Yeah.
Seems
Talk
like
about it.
seems like
Talk
every
about it. Fill this air with your voice.
We talked about this in the pregame meeting.
I think about 5 teams this year made the playoffs that didn't make it last year. I'd say Indianapolis will make it next year. Any other teams stick out to you? Because it seems like at least 4 every year make it. Philadelphia, maybe. Atlanta, who the hell knows? Dallas.
An interesting theory that I have is with Chicago, because remember how last year at this time everybody's like, are they going to get rid of Jay Cutler now, or when's that going to happen? And now people aren't really talking about that. He had somewhat of a better season, and I wonder if they're going to keep him, because it doesn't seem like they're ready to just give up on him.
Well, they should.
And not that Chicago is like a contender next year, but you kind of look at them and you're like, well, what are they going to do? They have to draft defense, so I don't really know if they're in the market for a quarterback. They seem to be a really interesting team for me in this offseason. And not from like they could turn into a good team, just like, what the hell are you guys going to do? So
They should trade Alshon Jeffrey for a 5th-round pick.
I say Bucks fire Lovey, promote OC Dirk Cutter to head coach.
Dirk
God.
Cutter. Look at that.
Yep. And
Who's the one minority that they interview? Is it Lovie Smith?
yeah, maybe like Derek Brooks or somebody.
Does an exit interview count as an interview for the job?
Probably does,
It should be.
which is sad.
well, we called Tony Dungy, and he told us he didn't want the job again, so that covers it.
Good. I'm glad he doesn't want it.
I'm interested to watch this goddamn game on NBC because they cannot possibly talk about the same shit that they talked about last week.
I was thinking about that last week when they basically hit all the usual tones of a Vikings broadcast, and I only thought of Krins, and I thought of, are they going to say everything again? The only saving grace is that the game's in Green Bay, so they can't really show the new stadium, can they?
Oh, yeah. They can't. Norm Turner is his 90th year in football.
Did you know his son Scott's the quarterback coach?
I want them to show the defensive coordinator once. That's all I want. And I do want Vikings to play Green Bay this week, Vikings to play Green Bay next week, and I want the Vikings to open up next year with Green Bay. So I want them to play Green Bay 3 times in a row is what I would really want. So
The other funny thing is after last week's game, Zimmer did like some national interviews. I think he's on the Dan Patrick Show, and they asked him about what role he has in the defense, and he's basically like, I run the defense.
the whole thing.
Like that, I'm the head coach. I call the plays. I'm very involved in the game planning. And then they asked him about the offense. He's like, well, I kind of know what's going on. He's like, they're like, do you know any of the play calls and stuff, any of the terminology? He's like, I picked up some of it. So it's really clear that he focuses on the defense. He kind of knows what's going on offense, but no, Norv Turner definitely runs the offense. So
They have co-head coaches.
they're co-head coaches. Yeah.
Norv Turner.
There should be a player head coach.
Paul Konerko should be the NFL.
So we'll probably
He'd be
figure
really
out-
good. People have said that for years. He'd be really good. Be a really good player coach.
Figure out here, Kansas City should win, still not definite. Seattle, hopefully they can hold on to this 30-point lead with a minute left. And Denver, San Diego, I would really like a tie, so that'd be nice. And we'll see what happens there.
My official guess for the playoff games is the Houston game is the early game, and then we have Steelers-Bengals as the late game on Sunday.
Whoa, whoa,
then-
whoa, whoa. Okay.
Or Saturday, I should say, the night game, NBC, and then the early game on Sunday is the Washington, and then after that, Vikings and
Packers.
yeah.
Packers. The Vikings are winning tonight.
I'm just gonna say the Vikings are gonna win. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. Any sort of combination there on Sunday. Washington early, and then either Vikings or Packers.
And honestly, if you are Kansas City, I'd rather have that 5 seed and go to Houston than host Pittsburgh. So.
Oh yeah, they've definitely shown that they can win on the roads, and they're gonna beat Houston. So let's see it.
There's college football season is over except for one game. Clemson plays Alabama.
No. Got the FCS title game yet.
That doesn't count.
I know.
The Celebration Bowl, Part 2.
Celebration Bowl. There's been a lot of bad games, Charlie. Bad games. The calendar
A whole
flipped
bunch
over.
of bad games.
Houston, Florida State was probably the second best game of the year so far. This December 31st, January 1st type deal.
Well, yeah, amongst the big bowls. There was
Yeah.
there was a few small bowls that were good. It was basically like the games before Christmas were fairly good, and then the 2 late games last night were good, and everything else in between was not all that great.
Indiana Duke was probably one of the 3 or 4 best games of the whole deal. As Amon has awoken from his coffin, that's interesting.
I got out.
He got out. He got out of that goddamn thing.
Can I explain my attitude towards the Bulls this year and why I was a little disappointed?
Yep.
So much like Charlie, I knew that the early bowls were good, but I'm like, well, it's not bowl season yet. Like that week between Christmas and New Year's, that's when I like to watch. So I'm not going to watch these early games. A couple good ones that I didn't see. Okay, that's fine. Then you watch a couple of those games in between. Oh, those were all pretty much garbage. And then New Year's Day, New Year's Eve, I have the time to actually watch the games. They're terrible. And then yesterday I had some time and flipped on in the middle of the Alamo Bowl. This is kind of good. Big comeback. And the Cactus Bowl, and that's pretty much it. So big letdown, kind of right there in the middle when I actually had the time. I cleared out time to watch those, and they're shitty. Not cool.
Yeah, it
bowl
sucks.
season.
It sucks that the Fiesta Bowl of the New Year's Eve and New Year's Day games, the Fiesta Bowl between Ohio State and Notre Dame was maybe the best out of all of those, and it wasn't like bad. It was just kind of mediocre. But if that's the best, or like Prince mentioned, Houston and Florida State was sort of interesting, and it wasn't bad. But when those are your 2, like, yeah, we were the good ones, that's not a good sign. And I remember watching the Orange Bowl and thinking, like, hey, that was a great first half. And then, like, midway through the third quarter was like, oh, well, that sucked. Hopefully the Cotton Bowl's better, and it absolutely was not.
Here are
in any
scores.
way, shape, or form.
Scores of games from December 31st on: 38-24, 37-17, 38-0, 45-6, 44-28, 41-7, 45-16, 48-20, 24-17, but that was Penn State, Georgia. That was garbage. Arkansas 45, Kansas State 23, and then 47-41, 43-42. But the TCU game, Oregon TCU game, not real good.
See, okay,
Not well played, not well thought out. That's for damn sure.
No.
It was a fun finish, historic comeback, good little overtime, but it's not very good to watch when one team gets up by 3-4 touchdowns and the other team gets 31 unanswered points. Kind of ridiculous. But,
Oregon and TCU is like the equivalent of showing like the 2 extreme spectrums of like what people do when they get paid with their check, and like Oregon is like, I spent everything the first 3 days after I got my check, and then just had to hold on for the rest of the month. And TCU was, yep, I'll take care of those bills, but I'm gonna wait like 2 weeks to pay them, and then I'll do it at the very end.
I like that.
They could have been too distracted by playing with their toys that they got from the bowl game. Their toys.
I still have yet to see the whole list of what everybody got, so I'm disappointed.
I'm going to send it to you right now.
Is this Sports Business Journal? Who is this?
They had it. Yeah, they had it.
Good.
You know what I thought after watching a team blow a 31-point game in a bowl is I thought, you know what, Oregon, you really need to fire Glenn Mason because you allowed this 31-point comeback. You need to fire him right now. On the
And I
plane
think
ride
Oregon's is worse because if I remember right, when your Gophers did it, it was in the Insight Bowl back when that was on like the NFL Network when nobody had it. So it was like it happened, but nobody really saw it, and everybody saw Oregon blow this lead.
Is the Cactus Bowl the former Insight Bowl?
Yeah. The former Copper Bowl, too.
The Copper Bowl.
My favorite part was last night. They're like, oh, West Virginia quarterback's going to break Drew Bledsoe's Cactus Bowl record. And it's like, well, it wasn't the Cactus Bowl when he played. It was the goddamn. It's changed names literally 15 times since then.
The biggest upsets of the season were Wisconsin beating USC. A lot of people had USC for points. Florida State losing to Houston. You don't fuck with Houston. What else? Nebraska was the big one, Charlie. How'd that happen?
Well, it looked like USC wasn't that interested in playing. Had some guys hurt on their defensive line. And Nebraska, who refused to run the ball the entire season, said, you know what, our quarterback's not that good. Let's just run it up the middle 62 times and see if UCLA can stop it. And UCLA said, nah, that's okay. And that's the summary of that game.
If you're a Nebraska guy, and Charlie is, so he can actually speak to this, but how do you not get to halftime of that game and be like, son of a bitch, we should have been doing this all year? Or you're just
can't tell you. Watching that game, I was at my sister's place because her husband's in the Navy, so that's where we were, and it was like me, mom, dad, 2 sisters, and 1 sister's husband, and there were at least 15 times that other people were like, yeah, this is exciting, isn't this great? And I was like, God damn it, why didn't they do this against fucking Purdue and Illinois? And I said that at least 7 times. Because they beat UCLA and Michigan State, but lost to Illinois and Purdue. Because that was college football this year.
I did like some tweets that said not only do they win the bowl game, they become bowl eligible with their bowl game win. Their 6th win.
The three 5 and 7 teams all won.
All won. Now, you know what that means? You get 4 and 8s. You got to open up to the 4 and 8s.
Yeah.
I think I had every 5 and 7 team winning.
And they did. Minnesota?
I had them and San Jose State.
You didn't have Nebraska winning.
Oh, never mind. They did not have Nebraska.
Good enough. Drew Almond is the winner with 37th annual Bonanza gift card of $10. Redeemable. That'll be in the mail.
Hell yeah.
What do we find out? The only Bonanza still in South Dakota is in Yankton?
Yeah, you gotta go to Yankton, so.
You gotta go to Yankton.
There might be one in who knows where, Nebraska.
Yeah, there probably is, but Krins and I, we looked this up. So,
does Denver have direct flights to Yankton?
Absolutely not.
So how'd you win? What are you going to give credit to winning this year? I mean, lucky as fuck that TCU game.
Yeah, got lucky AF TCU. Mostly.
Did you? I assume you hit on most of your big point games. I'm sure UCLA was the one, but well, here you little son of a bitch.
Bitch.
Your 1 point game, your 2 point game, your 3 point game, your 4 point game, you all lost, which is good.
Look, I know when the team I pick is going to lose. I just know.
We just do that. You hit on number 42, 41, 39, 38, 37, 36, 35, 34, 33. So you hit on what, the top 8 or 9 picks?
Yep.
Winner, Med. Fucking winner. Fucking winner.
I can't wait for him to finish with about 243 points next year.
Yeah, I know. It's ridiculous. Well, I think I generally went with the favorites, at least as far as Vegas went. And
But I'm probably going to have the best record of the whole damn deal. And finish
Good.
Fuck it.
Good.
yeah, sure. That kind of year, man. I'm in the 99th percentile. It's looking
98.6. Still have, well, you got 40 points out there for this national title game, so whoa.
Who do you think I got it on? Who do you think I got it on?
Probably Southern Miss. I'd hope to fuck you got it on Clemson, but I don't know.
Providence college basketball.
Good.
I think the only thing I can toot my own horn on about that is I did get my 42-point game right, which was Arkansas over Kansas State.
Nice.
And I think I got my next 3 wrong after that, because I'm almost positive my second highest one was UCLA over Nebraska.
I was a little concerned about Bill Snyder doing like a Bill Snyder thing and Kansas State winning, but
Yeah.
no.
One thing I would say about the New Year's Six games, not as it pertains to the picks, but like you could see Michigan State getting their ass kicked by Alabama, like that you can understand that. You can understand Notre Dame not beating Ohio State, and
Iowa.
I mean, selfishly, I was hoping that would happen, but there are a lot of people that thought that'd be a pretty good game. Oklahoma State just getting their doors blown off by Ole Miss is the one out of those games that shouldn't have happened as far as I'm concerned. I mean, Ole Miss is good, I guess, but God damn it, Oklahoma State, you got to show up. And that was bad.
I think part of the problem with a lot of big bowls this year is all those crazy, wacky upsets we had earlier in the season, like changed who would be in certain bowl games, and that was how Oklahoma State got to be in the Sugar Bowl. Because if Baylor wouldn't have lost to an awful Texas team, Baylor, sans quarterback, would have played Ole Miss, and I'm pretty sure Baylor, even without their quarterback, would have done better than Oklahoma State did against Ole Miss. And if that Michigan kid gets that punt off, then it's Ohio State and Alabama, or at least Alabama or Ohio State's in the playoff. I guess the seed might be different. And I don't know if Ohio State would beat Alabama, but they would not have lost 38-0.
I didn't see the Baylor-North Carolina game, but holy shit, North Carolina. How do you not, like, doesn't it become clear? Doesn't it become clear about 10 minutes in, oh, yeah, they're not going to throw the ball at all, and they're just gashing you for huge run after huge run? It's like, how are you not stopping that? I don't get that at all.
The best stat of that game that I've ever seen or heard before is the guy, Baylor's starting running back was hurt, so the guy who played at running back for Baylor entered the game with 701 rushing yards on the season and left the game with 1,000 rushing yards on the season. I was just like, I've never seen anything like that before.
That was awful. Oh. Larry's going to get second here. Me and Charlie are going to get third or fourth. Garrick still kind of getting he's going to put all his points there in this last game. So he can.
This is huge. This is huge. This is a 700-point game.
And Stacking did horribly, as he knows. Iowa.
I also want to just point out, since we're talking about certain contests that we have, I won the NFL Pick'em purely based on Mr. Laces Out, Dan Beck, not making any picks in the last 2 weeks. I think he was in first place.
Real fucking cute. Real fucking cute.
He decided, I'm not going to make any more picks. So
the rest of the starters for the playoffs, so you can't blame him.
I think I also did not pick the last 2 weeks either.
I think I gave up week 7. I don't know. I'm going to pick it up next year.
We had only 61 points, and I finished with 133, so I doubled you up.
That boy.
Me, Stacking, and Puke, Travis Crims were the only people to pick all 17 weeks, it appears. So.
And I missed numerous Thursday night games, so at least I would have gotten at least 2 more points, I feel, out of that.
I missed a Thursday and a Saturday somewhere in there for sure. So
Marcus in the 95th percentile. This was against the spread.
This is against the spread, y'all.
ATS, nice work.
I think the best thing ever is if you include ours against the spread and the one that Dustin had for whatever, winning a shirt or whatever.
Yeah.
I got more against the spread correct than I did picking them straight up. And I've not ever done that before, and I think that that's funny.
Me and Larry did
So
that as well.
if anyone ever is like, hey, I don't need a spread, just tell me who's going to win this NFL game straight up. Don't ask me. Or ask me and pick the opposite of what I say.
Swag.
With 43 people entered this for Jersey, Marcus and I are tied for 6th with the 152, so I think we did fairly well. Still 13 behind. The winner got 6 more than the in second place, so that's pretty good there.
Yeah, it was funny because I was thinking today, I'm like, why the hell have I been picking the straight-up winners all year? I didn't remember I was in the contest for a jersey.
Yeah.
I'm just like, why the fuck am I in this thing? And now I remember, oh yeah, it was for a jersey.
And Dust V was at 13. So there you go. And Chiku was 22nd place. So
Shout out to Paul
not
Gold.
picking the last 2 weeks. I'll take 22nd. Not bad.
let's see here.
At least I think it was the last 2 weeks.
Yes, you would have been.
I know I didn't pick this week.
Probably would have been top 15 there, somewhere around there. So, what was worse, the Michigan State deal or the Iowa deal? Because the Michigan State deal was like 17-0 late third quarter. They had numerous opportunities to do something. Iowa, they were done in about 10 minutes. That game was done.
Personally, I think Michigan State was worse because I was hoping Michigan State would win and was actively cheering against Iowa and for Sanford. Therefore, so I enjoyed the Rose Bowl quite a bit.
It seemed like, yes.
I was at work on New Year's Day, and I had the Rose Bowl on, and my boss was in there, and he's like, hey, this is going to be a really good game. I think Iowa might win. And I'm like, no. Stanford's going to kick the shit out of them. Just you watch. And then he texts me like when it's 35-0. I'm like, I didn't even think it was going to be this. I didn't even think that was going to happen. I just said that because I hate Iowa. But so it's kind of funny to actually be right about something for once.
Iowa felt like a team that just had just stretched out every single ounce of. I don't know. They held it together for like as long as what was possible.
And they damn near made the play. Clemson would have been probably Clemson, Iowa. Maybe it would have been Alabama, Iowa. Jesus Christ.
That would have been bad. And that's what goes to show when you're in a 14-team conference and you only play 8 conference games, so you play 2 against the other division. And if you're Iowa and your 2 cross-division games are Indiana and Maryland, these are the kind of things that can happen, I guess.
You play Illinois State, which is a good FCS team, but you beat them. They played North Texas.
Pittsburgh.
You played Pittsburgh. You beat them on a long field goal.
Pittsburgh was decent.
And you beat Iowa State, who was terrible. And then I think we mentioned it in the previous show.
Are you talking about Iowa or are you talking about Ohio State?
I'm talking about Iowa.
Okay, I get them mixed up.
The fact that you can ask that does bring up an interesting point, though.
Yeah, they played Northern Illinois. They played Shit Tech. They played the team college. They beat Indiana by 7. Yeah, good for you, Ohio State.
I'm just pointing out that we mentioned in the preseason that Iowa had a very easy schedule, and they made very good use of that easy schedule to get to the Rose Bowl, damn near get to the playoff. Hell of a job by Kirk Ferentz. He bought himself 5 more years.
And the problem is a 2-loss team like Stanford, they're probably better than Michigan State. They're a lot better than Iowa. They would never get in over a 1-loss team, which kind of sucks. If you got 2 losses, you're probably not getting into the playoffs 19 times out of 20.
Yeah.
Even if you are better. Just, they lost to this team, so they can't get in. Doesn't look like the Big Ten did very well in the bowls. Michigan State, Iowa. Ohio State looked very good. Nebraska had an upset.
Michigan won.
Michigan won. They looked
Michigan beat the hapless Florida offense.
Big Ten did okay.
Minnesota
They're fine. There's been years where they've done a lot worse. So
that Indiana field goal was the biggest crock of shit of the bowl season.
I think he made it.
You know why you think he made it? Because he fucking didn't make it. Well,
No. No, man. If that goalpost were 15 feet higher, it would have went off the goalpost. And
We'll never know.
Yeah.
We'll never fucking
we'll
know.
never fucking know.
All I know is, as entertaining as that game was, it's a shame that it came down to a long missed field goal. I would have loved to have seen that gone like 5 overtimes.
And one conference I know did shitty was the Big 12. They sucked big time. They were awful.
Sucked hard. They sucked
Oklahoma
hard.
State
It turns out
Yes.
the Big 12
how-
needed both TCU and West Virginia to win yesterday to just do very poorly instead of catastrophically bad.
And the SEC beating the hell out of them. So,
Should have
Baylor.
had Kansas in there. Kansas would have fought.
Yeah.
Kansas has won their last 3 bowl games. They're on fire when it comes to bowl games.
They
Granted,
haven't
that's
lost-
over like 12 years.
They haven't lost a bowl game in 50 years, I bet. How I'm interested in Mr. Pabst Blue Ribbon's opinion here on Christian McCaffrey and how the NFL will screw this man up.
I just wanted to point out that I really did buy Ruby Red Squirt.
Good. Good.
Very good.
Keep that cold. Keep that cold.
I think Christian McCaffrey should be good. Like, he should be good in the NFL. But yeah, you're right. That does not mean it'll happen. I mean, doesn't it seem like he can run the ball well? He's pretty good at catching it. Like, that's
He can
somebody
be a return guy. If you want to put a guy like that as a return guy, he seems like he can do that pretty well.
I think he's really good. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what kind of a 40 time he's going to have, but it's
Oh,
going to be good enough, I feel like.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to bust out a 4.38 40, but it's not like he's going to run a 4.7 either.
He should crab walk the 40.
I heard somebody be like he's like a bigger Darren Sproles, but I don't really see that at all.
I look forward to him getting drafted by St. Louis and just getting railroaded and not really getting a fair shake. Even though St. Louis doesn't really have a need at running back. You don't know who needs a need at running back because you don't know any of the running backs. They change teams, they're off teams, they're hurt so goddamn quickly that how does anybody know? You can't take inventory of the running back situation in the NFL.
I know one team comes to mind that could probably use a running back in about 2 years. Who's this?
The Chicago
Well,
Bears?
he's up on Toby Gerhart, so the Stanford train is done.
LSU, they need a running back. I would say the Minnesota Vikings could use a guy in about 2 years' time when they're prepping for that Super Bowl in Minneapolis.
Derek McKinnon.
McKinnon and
McCaffrey's-
McCaffrey. McKinnon and McCaffrey, huh?
I dig it.
For
The M&M
McCaffrey's
boys.
sake,
Sure.
I just hope he's not drafted by whatever team has Greg Schiano, because I don't want him to get MRSA.
Where is Schiano? My God.
I don't know where he is.
He has a legitimate job, I think. I saw him somewhere.
You saw him somewhere?
Coburn's?
Find a quick look-see here.
Yeah, he was working at the Pretzel Wetzel, and he does a really good job. He gave me extra sprinkles.
Isn't it Wetzel's Pretzels?
Yeah, it might be. I don't know. I've never actually been to one.
He just got hired as Ohio State's defensive coordinator.
No.
No.
God damn it.
Well, that makes me like him less. And I didn't like him a whole lot in the first place.
I hope McCaffrey goes to New England. That's what I hope.
We're
Why
ready,
so-
man. The NFL's ready for a star white running back.
Last
We
one,
got Danny Woodhead, and they don't care. Nobody cares about Danny
He'd be the
Woodhead.
first one, wouldn't he? Like of all time?
John Reagan's.
Larry Zonka.
Non-Jewish.
Don't forget about the best white running back ever, Zach Zenner, who tore up the NFL this year.
He tore up his innards, is what he did.
Yeah, I hope he can. Jesus Christ, I hope he can breathe.
Breathe properly.
Yeah.
What do we got in this Denver game?
Peyton Manning and his forehead won.
Good. So it's.
Ask him about HGH.
I mean, you go Google his picture freshman year and now. I mean, there is a stark fucking
Huge difference in the
That-
size of the forehead.
I feel like this is a Barry Bonds situation.
Just look at the head, for Christ's sake. Look at that. Naaman, are you on record as saying you do not care?
No, I don't care.
Good.
I really do not care. At all. If you're recovering from a severe injury and
Go ahead.
do something a little bit secretively to heal from an injury quicker, I don't care.
If you don't take HGH, you should be suspended, I think.
Sure.
I
And we're
agree
getting-
with that. We want the best athlete science can create. I don't care if you're dead at 45. Entertain me. I want to be entertained for my money.
You care? You care about this, Travis Prince?
Not really.
Yeah, me neither.
Good. I'm glad we all don't care, because I don't.
San Francisco Rams really going for that tie. They got 4 minutes left. San Francisco first and goal. Son of a bitch.
Son of a bitch.
Son of a bitch.
Is this number one pick on the line here, or who's got the number one pick here?
Titans got the
Titans.
pick.
What are they going to
Channeling my inner PFT commenter is either of these teams 6 and 9 on the season? Because then it would be great if we finished with the tie.
Titans probably picked the guy from Ole Miss, left tackle guy. San Francisco should take Goff. They should absolutely do that.
Let's get a receiver number one pick again. Is there an elite receiving prospect?
No.
Guy from Baylor, although he got hurt at the end of the year.
I mean, Mario's got to throw it to somebody, but
Josh Dotson, I think he's going to be
mean-
pretty good. I'd like to have him.
Here's a question: if you're looking if you're a head coach, or if you want to be an NFL head coach, and you're one of the guys that basically gets your pick of 4 or 5, is the Tennessee job better than other ones because they at least look like they possibly have a quarterback in place in Mariota? And in addition to that, you also get the first pick of the draft. Does that make the Tennessee job more enticing than if they had, we're coming off a 6-10 season and picking 8th?
I'd say it's better than any of these other Cleveland or whatever else is out there.
Yeah, I mean, Cleveland, they don't even have a semblance of a quarterback. So what the hell are you going to do with that?
all I know is I'm out on drafting like tackles, top 5, speed rushers, first round. I'm out on it.
You don't like it?
No,
It's
I'm
boring.
out. You draft quarterbacks,
It's boring.
playmakers, if be a speedy linebacker. I guess I don't know. Those would be my top 3 that you always target, or a tight end. Corners are pretty shaky too, but
If you take a tight end in the top 10, that's not good.
okay. Well, how come there are so
You
many?
better-
good ones?
I would say that, the tight ends are, as random guys, can be just great, just random fuckers. Gates, what was Gronkowski? I don't even know.
Like a third-round pick.
They have their round pick, just a guy.
Round pick.
All right, maybe
Seems
not
like-
tight end first round, but whatever. Not
Analogy off the top of my head, quarterback and tight end are similar in that generally there's only one that's any good on teams. And basically you've either got a really good tight end and you utilize them a lot, or you don't have one and we don't care and that's not how we're going to try to win. With the only difference being that you don't necessarily need a good tight end to be good in the NFL, or if you don't have a quarterback, you're essentially screwed.
I think Peyton Paxton,
Jackson.
John Lynch will be I think probably going to be the second guy taken top 10, and I don't know if he'll be any good at all. So
I don't think he'll be good.
No.
I think the American has some bad defenses, and I'm not impressed. Coming out of Memphis, David's not here, so I can say this, that I'm not impressed. So
Goff, I think Goff's going to be pretty good. It's been a while since I've actually liked a quarterback in the draft, besides Manziel. So this will be something different for me.
I like Christian Hackenberg now, if only because he railroaded James Franklin on his way out of Penn State, and I'm a fan of that. So I think he'll be a terrible NFL quarterback, but he earned some respect from me right there.
First round draft pick by the Houston Texans.
Yeah, he loves Bill O'Brien a lot. So.
Go nuts there. If he's taken in the first round, boy, that's some bad shit right there. That's some real bad shit. That's pretty bad. We end the 150th lounge with Clemson, Alabama. Larry, we start with you. Your official pick for the national title game on Monday night.
I love Clemson dearly. We've loved them for a long time. I have a shirt. I'll probably wear it on Monday, but I think Alabama's going to win. I think Alabama made a really good statement against Michigan State. There are people that thought Michigan State could win that game, and they didn't sniff victory. I think Clemson's going to be able to move the ball maybe a little bit. I will say Alabama 42, Clemson.
Jesus Christ!
42-31.
That's a lot of points.
Yeah.
Larry or Drew?
I think Alabama wins this one by 2 scores or more.
Charlie?
I think it will be better than, or at least at the end, it'll be better than either of the 2 semifinal games. I think Clemson can do enough things to keep Alabama a little off balance. My heart says Clemson's going to win. My brain says Alabama. I think Clemson can keep it close and they could win, but I think Alabama's going to have like a classic, Clemson scored to cut it to 3, and Alabama then goes on a 6.5-minute drive, picking up 8 first downs and scores on a 1-yard plunge by Derrick Henry with 8 seconds, or with like 1:05 left to win, like 28-17 or something like that.
I could see this being like a USC Oklahoma 05
55-19 game.
I honestly could.
Coker probably played the best game.
If Coker plays as well as he did against Michigan State, then there's no way Alabama's going to lose.
I don't see that happening. Pass rush was pretty good. They sacked him 5-6 times against Oklahoma, so that was pretty good. Clemson wins. Got to pick Clemson to win. We've been this far. Got to pick them to win. 34-31. They score a touchdown on the last play of the game. A Watson run from 5 yards out.
Wow.
They trail 31-27. Touchdown, they win.
Is it
so basically you're saying it's the reincarnation of the Texas USC Rose Bowl, except the touchdown's on the last play of the game instead of with like 30 seconds left?
Yes.
I was just going to say it's 4th and 5 from the USC 9-yard line, and he's going to run it. He's going to run to the front right corner of the end zone, and he's going to go into this pile of photographers, and he's going to hold his hands up.
That sounds a lot like something that's already happened.
Can I just say one thing about Clemson? Is that okay?
Yep.
After they won the Orange Bowl, Dabo Swinney went into the whole "nobody believes in us" thing, and about how they don't get any respect. And I mean, I think we've heard it a couple other times this season, and it made me think he's totally right. I mean, at every stage this season, we've gone out of our way to doubt, not us, but nationally, they've doubted Clemson. Everybody picked Oklahoma. Everybody will pick Alabama in this game. So it is. I mean, they are proving people wrong. I think Clemson has gotten the short end of the stick as far as the respect angle goes. Not that should have really any bearing on the game, but for once, people using, Dabo Swinney using that card, it's actually true. People don't believe in Clemson. For as many times as we hear that, it actually seems to be true in this instance.
I like Krinz's scenario. The only thing I would add to Krinz's scenario of Watson running in for the game-winning touchdown is if right after he scores and there's no time left and he knows they've won, he turns and he looks at Saban and does the crotch chop.
Well, this is WCW versus what is Diamond Dallas Page versus.
That's true.
What is this?
Will there be a point?
I don't even. What was it now? I haven't looked at it in a long time. I think it was Triple H against DDP.
Will there be a very clear point in the second quarter where Alabama has a chance to put the game away and the star running back flips the ball or laterals it
Yes.
at the 20-yard line when he has a good chance of scoring? Is that going to happen?
Yes.
Mark it down. Hey guys, did you know this? Here's a fact. Here's a fun fact about this game. You want to hear it?
Yep.
You know, Dabo Swinney, head coach of Clemson, he won a national championship as a college football player. And you know who he played for?
Valdosta State.
Alabama.
Alabama?
You won't believe it. Alabama. Can't believe it. We'll only hear that 38 times, probably.
Good.
Yep.
And then Saban will win and will go to the NFL to coach the Colts, and Dabo will take over as the head coach for Alabama.
Wow.
Or maybe not.
Ooh, look at this. Look at this.
This is the Gene Stallings Bowl then, huh? The Swinney played for him?
92?
92? Was that when they won it?
Nick Saban is 64 years old.
Oh, man.
He was born on Halloween.
What are the chances that Nick Saban wins this and calls it quits?
0%.
I think Paul Feinbaum has hinted at that. I don't know where he's getting that from, but he has.
Hangs it up.
It's an interesting point. I mean, if he wins, I mean, there's not really a whole lot more he could accomplish in college football. I mean, that doesn't mean he will retire. He certainly could come back and try to do it again, but, you know, for anyone that's ever played video game college football with a dynasty, you know, once you win 3, 4, 5 national titles at a school, it's like, well, it's time for something else. I got to go somewhere else or retire or do something. No clue if he'll do it or not, but I think it would be more likely if he wins.
Other than accomplishing making a copious amount of more money, there's not really much left for him to do, I guess.
Well, this would be his 5th national title.
Yeah, 4th at Alabama.
Yep. Also, another thing that I don't know if it bothers me or if it's something I like, but when Nick Saban's doing a halftime interview or an interview after the game, how much he looks in the camera. We talked about that on here before.
Looks into it a lot.
Like very I just try to think about like what is that trying to accomplish? Did he promise his mother years ago that he would always do that when he was interviewed at halftime, or is he doing that to try to subliminally get to recruits?
The recruits.
Or
from the North Dakota State School of It's All About Recruiting. I think that's what it is.
I would like to see.
I mean, it's not like he breaks the talk or his answer, but he always just looks at the camera. I can't get past it anymore.
For Nick Saban, we're all recruits.
I would really like to see a long Alabama field goal with no time left in the tie game.
That gets caught right at the edge of the end zone and then returned for a touchdown by the other team.
There's been a lot of craziness this football season, Mr. Hildebrand. I want to see the team leading with a punt. They're like up 4 with like 20 seconds left. They got a punt at the 45 or something, and like, oh, is this guy gonna do this fucking punt, or a field goal, or a Hail Mary from the 50? I want this to come down to the last goddamn play.
How about this? Like, Alabama generally controls the whole game, and Derrick Henry has, like,
he fumbles.
215 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns. And Clemson, like, gets a touchdown, gets an onside kick, kicks a field goal to, like, tie it with, like, a minute left. And then Alabama starts driving, and then they get to, like, midfield with 15 seconds left, and they're like, we just need one more pass to set up a field goal, and then throws a pick 6. And, like, I don't know, just to think that would be, like, maybe not the most painful, but pretty painful, and, like, we led the whole game, and because they got an onside kick and then we threw a stupid pass, that would be hilarious and fun.
I'd say a game that was only 2 years ago, but's already been lost to time, the Auburn-Florida State Rose Bowl national title, I thought was one of the better national title games in the last 10, 15 years. And that was a very, very good game. And wrong team won, which sucks, but oh well.
If you remember in the preview show, I said that Ohio State and Clemson would play in the playoff, and that would be a rematch of the Gator Bowl from the 80s when Woody Hayes punched the shit out of that linebacker for Clemson. What if Nick Saban punches the shit out of some Clemson guy, and that ends his career?
Shaq Lawson.
The national championship.
That would be very odd. and kind of funny at the same time.
Lane Kiffin's wife does it.
Especially,
Look, yeah,
what would make that the most
times.
funny to me would be as if like we find out he did that, and then they're like, Nick's didn't. I mean, he looked angry, but then all of a sudden he went off, and they're like, why did he get so angry? And we find out later it's like the guy picks it off and walks by and then makes fun of how short Nick Saban is, and that's what caused him to punch him, not the interception itself.
When Nick Saban was going to school, they called him Napoleon Nick, and it always bothered him. And he had finally reached enough power where nobody called him Napoleon Nick. And then the Clemson guy pulls that out 50 years later and sets Nick Saban off. And Napoleon Nick comes out and does some bad stuff during the game.
And eat some ice cream. I would like... I want to see in the next 5 years when he does retire who comes up for this Alabama job, who the rumors are, and who gets it. And I'm sure he'll drop Bill Cowher, John Gruden. Yeah, let's go.
Dan Mullen.
Who? Dan Mullen?
Yeah, because Dan Mullen, he's rumored for every job and doesn't take any of them. So
Lovie Smith, the whole deal.
Oh, God.
It would also be funny if Nick Saban like left, like either retired or left for the NFL after this season, if solely for the fact that everyone forever was saying like, oh well, once Saban leaves, then Kirby Smart's going to take over, and Kirby Smart, who supposedly really wants the Alabama job, finally leaves to go to Georgia and is like, oh, I literally only had to wait a whole other month and I could have had that job.
This is Phil McDaniel, South Dakota State volleyball all over again. He goes, he leaves to Drake, and a week later the job opens. Then he comes back 3 years later, and they're awful. And he makes it. And they blame the lady coach beforehand. Oh, she's terrible. Then Phil McDaniel comes back, and for some reason they're even worse than before. They're even worse than before. And it's all his fault.
Despite having the Brookings hammer.
Yes, unbelievable. Greatest of all time. Is this the most rooting interest you'll have in any championship game you've ever seen? Charlie's watched Nebraska, so that's outside. I mean,
Well,
Drew's got a Super Bowl underneath his belt. So
like I've certainly rooted for Nebraska in national title games, but like they haven't been in one since 2001, and I've probably rooted more for teams to lose since then. Like I rooted pretty hard for Ohio State to beat Miami the next year. For one of the few times in my life, I was all in on Texas beating USC because I hated USC. I was all in on Oklahoma beating Florida, which they did not do. I was all in on Alabama beating Florida in that SEC title game, and that has not gone well. That was sort of like you overthrow someone, and then the guy that took over is even worse. This is up there, though. I probably hated Miami the most, though, because I was like 13 or whatever when I went and saw Nebraska get throttled by Miami, and I really wanted Ohio State to beat them the next year. But this is quite high.
I've always rooted against Alabama in the national championship game, except for when they played Notre Dame, because Notre Dame is awful.
Yep.
And then every time Oklahoma's been in the national championship game, I've rooted for them. And when it was LSU, Alabama, I rooted for LSU. I just like Charlie when I've always rooted against Florida when they were in the championship, even if it meant Ohio State, beating Florida, which didn't happen. And let's see, Texas. I mean, again, Shoddy's not on the show, so I can clearly say I root against USC every single time.
Who did you root for when Georgia Tech played UConn in the basketball championship?
Wow.
I remember that.
Games,
I rooted for
games.
UConn because I picked UConn to win it in my bracket as like whatever how old I was then.
Was that,
UConn winning it all, and I wanted to get that right in my bracket.
was that like 04 or something?
How the hell did Georgia Tech even make it?
Remember Oklahoma State made that Final Four too? Who was the fourth team in that Final Four?
Did they beat St. John's? Or St. Joe's the 1 year?
They beat them in the
Was it
Elite Eight.
Duke?
St. Joe's never made a
I
final.
think it was Duke because like UConn made like 2 free throws when they were up by 2 to go up 4, and Duke hit like a full court shot at the buzzer to only lose by 1. But that might not be that same year.
Know that.
Wow.
Let's take a quick look here to see who that was.
Was the Super? I mean, I'd say the biggest game that the rooting interest, non-Vikings, Twins, Bulls, would be Carolina and Illinois in '05.
Mhm.
I really wanted North Carolina to win, and they did, so that was good for me.
Charlie was right. Duke made that Final Four. I remember that, 2011 when Auburn and Oregon played in the championship, and I didn't have really rooting interest in that one. So
Yeah.
You probably won at Auburn. That's when I liked Cam Newton. I liked Cam Newton back then.
That was one of the few. I was the same. I didn't have a rooting interest and was just like, I hope this game's fun and entertaining. I don't care who wins.
And it was not.
it was kind of terrible.
Well, I mean, we say that now, but I mean, I would much rather that, the Bama-Clemson game plays out more like that than it plays like either the two semifinals games.
Was the Buccaneers Super Bowl a big deal for you?
Yes.
The biggest of all the deals?
As big of a deal as there can be had for deals. It was great. Totally weird. Because, that team wouldn't be able to really exist now. Just with the rule changes and all that stuff. They would still be good, but, I mean...
Segregation and all that?
Yeah, ever since they allowed... I don't even want to say.
Good.
Anyway, so I don't think that team would have been like a Super Bowl winner, but since it was 13 years ago, it was different back then, and so you could win a Super Bowl that way, and they did.
They beat the Raiders. They beat the Raiders.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
It's weird looking back on that, how people thought that John Gruden would lose to the team that he literally coached the year before and probably knew more about than anybody else on the planet who did not actively still work for the Raiders.
It was the number one defense versus the number one offense, and the defense outscored the Raiders' offense.
How the hell was that the number one offense in football?
It was. Rich Gannon was the MVP that year. They were good.
No. Oh, because with Tim Brown and Jerry Rice were
like Charlie Garner at running back? Back when the Raiders used to be explosive on offense?
Rice was good even when he was 40.
Doug Jolly is the white tight end for BYU.
Doug Jolly. I can't think of who the running back was, but...
I think you said it, Charlie Garner?
Oh, yeah,
Charlie Garner, I don't know if he was their starting running back, but I know he was at least on the team.
And it wasn't Tyrone Wheatley the backup?
Yeah.
He was a big...
and then the Raiders had that guy go crazy and didn't show up for the Super Bowl or whatever.
Yeah. Went to Mexico.
Something, as we wrap it up here, something...
One second.
Yes.
One player from that 04 Georgia Tech team is still in the NBA.
Luke Schenscher?
Jared Jack.
He's the guy I remember most from that team is Luke Schenscher.
Jared Jack on there?
It's Jared Jack, yeah.
Jared Jack blew his knee out today, didn't he?
Well, that would suck if he did.
I think he did. Yeah, I think he got hurt either yesterday or today.
Yeah. Schenscher played a couple years in the NBA.
Yeah.
He was Australian, wasn't he? With the curls in his hair.
Yeah,
hair.
You're right. Australian.
Okafor? You there too?
For UConn, not for Georgia Tech.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Emeka Okafor and Ben Gordon for UConn.
There you go.
There we go.
Something for future shows. I was watching the Buffalo Bills deal, and 1 year they played the Chiefs in the title game. 1 year they played the Raiders. Who else? Did they play Miami 1 year or not?
Yeah, we could play Miami.
Miami 1 year?
Steelers too? I don't know.
I was like, Jesus Christ, Miami getting there, fucking Oakland getting there, and Jesus Christ. The Raiders that year beat the Titans. It could have been a Titans-Buccaneers Super Bowl, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
I'd like to look back at the teams that just missed out. We could have had a Raiders-Giants Super Bowl in 1990.
We should remember that just a few years ago, the Jets made the AFC title game 2 years in a row.
Yes.
And it was pretty inexplicable.
I also really wanted Denver to beat Green Bay in that Super Bowl.
Mark Sanchez is the most road victories for a quarterback of all time, isn't that right? Or something, something insane. With like 3.
Two. He's got 2 of them. Yes, he's got the most.
I know the year that the Patriots won their first Super Bowl over the Rams, if I remember right, we were fairly close to having a Oakland Raiders and Drew's Tampa Bay Buccaneers in that Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm. Again, for the first time.
God damn, I did not know that.
We had a Philadelphia Titans Super Bowl. That would have been a lot of fun. So,
Would it have been?
what happened?
Would it have been that fun?
It would have sucked. Real hard.
And just think, we almost had a Vikings-Broncos Super Bowl and a Vikings Colts Super Bowl.
You almost had
Just didn't quite happen.
You almost had Vikings-Broncos in 98. You almost had Vikings-Broncos in 87.
Almost had Vikings-Ravens all-purple Super Bowl in 2001.
Yummy. Delicious. Yes. And with that, the first lounge of 2016, number 150. So that means, around Christmas time next year will be number 200, the historic 200th episode of the lounge. For Emeka Okafor, for John Calhoun, for Ben Gordon, I'm
And Doug Jolly.
Doug Jolly, Charlie Joyner. I am Khaled El Amin. This has been the 150th edition of the Sports Lounge.